How you going, brothers and the occasional sister? That is the houseboat roof painted. I've just finished the first coat, so we'll let that go hard and hopefully not too many birds shit on it. During lockdown, this was my place of refuge, and today it's here on the farm, and as you can see in the paddock I've got a couple of friends. Harry's the white one and Patch is, well, the one at the back. Harry's the boy and Patch is the girl. An old Poe's wagging a tail, aren't you? We may go for a hunt. We were going to go early this morning, but I woke up and I just felt like shit. Alarm went off at 4 and I thought, you know, I can't do this. I've been working all week on this with the help of Giselle and Julie, but this morning I just thought, nah, I ain't got it in me. So I went out in the garden, made a door for my garden so the birds can't get in because I've got netting around my garden, and then I come down and worked on this thing here, and it's a lot of work. It's like a little wee house, but I'm determined to get it up to scratch. Hey Poe, yeah? She's hanging with me. So we've got a couple of goats that young Lucas I looked after dropped off because he was running out of feed. Come on Poe. And they're just sort of around here to keep the weeds down, because that's what goats do. They are great weed munchers, but they also destroy your garden, so you've got to keep them in check. So what I do is I bring them inside here at night, not in the houseboat but in the yard, and they look after everything. They keep the weeds down, and that's what I'm going to do right now. That feels so good to have done that. That feels so good. Come on Tilly. Tilly's with me too, there she goes. Tilly the toilet brush all day long, Tilly the toilet brush, sing this song. Tilly, 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 Tilly the toilet brush. Right, we'll go and get Harry and Patch, and we'll put them back in the little yard here for the night. Oh, they're hanging out with all the big guns. How about that? Well, I might just leave the gate open. They'll come in at night when they want to. Harry! 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 He's supposed to know his name. Harry! Patch! Harry! Couldn't give a fuck, fair enough. Good girl, Bo. You keep away, Tilly. Well, that there is very satisfying. That's really satisfying. That feels good. We're getting on top of it. There's a lot more work to do. Every day I'm tearing into it, but eventually you carve out a little bit each day and you get a bit closer to it. And it's like anything, isn't it? And sometimes jobs can be so big, they're so massive, you just can't tackle them. So the trick is just to do a tiny little bit. Before you know it, you'll be there. It's going to be a bumper crop of apples. Look at all those blossoms. Well, that's all my wasabi. It's going to town. It's going really well under there. The logs are 2 years old, Douglas fir. 3 years ago I had this dream to build a log cabin, then I got bloody sick, couldn't do anything, so they're there, but being Douglas fir, they're okay, because they don't rot, they take a long time to break down. You don't actually have to have them treated. I want to show you my door. Probably doesn't seem like much, it's just a bloody door, but it is quite important because it's a door to my food source. These have gone to seed, so I'm going to be taking all this out. This is my garden. I'm going to be taking most of the stuff out that's got too big. Of course you can still keep these, but the stuff that's seeded, I'll be taking the seeds off them and growing them again. So these are the pods here. I'll be saving all those seeds and start growing. This is my enclosure, and the birds hopefully can't get in here. I planted some little corns along here. The birds won't be able to get those now. And look at these funny cauliflower. I think they're stuffed. They were in the glass house, but oh, they look a bit weird. I'll put these beans in here. More beans there, and some beans around that pole. These Pekin ducks are the most useless mothers. Look at these eggs scattered around. That super duck, she shifted her egg so many times. Hopeless. I was hoping to pick some guava berries. There's one. Another one there. Whoops, it's on the ground now. There's one up there too. That's ripe. Jeez, no wonder I can't bloody breed any ducks. You're a useless mother. Useless duck. Guava berries. Yum. So, today's Bro Check Club video is for anybody that has a disease of any sort. Could be depression, that's a disease. Cancer, heart disease, any disease at all. Doesn't matter. You're sick, you're sick. That's one thing us humans all do. And then generally after getting really, really sick, we die. That comes at the end of our life, doesn't it? So today I want to talk about being sick and not dying, because that's me. And this is my journey very, very quickly in this video. I've heard people sometimes say, I don't know why people commit suicide. I would never do that, and that's just such a cop-out and such a... all sorts of terminologies that I won't even start to try and express because it makes me angry. It doesn't make me angry, it makes me feel like that other person's just ignorant and you just got no bloody idea. Because when I had cancer and then I got an infection after the operation, if I'd had a way of getting out of this life, I would have. I just wanted the pain to stop. It was unbelievably excruciating, like next level. And then I'd pass out and I'd wake up to it again and then pass out. So it was a 10 and then pass out and a 10, and it was just like, it was like torture. And morphine didn't work and nothing worked, and it was just, they try to control your pain, but man, and I just thought about, I just want to die. So anybody out there that's contemplated taking their own life, I get it. I totally get it. I get it. I certainly don't think it's the answer, but I get it. I probably had something to hold on to for life, as I've got 2 children, and when the pain was so unbearable, I thought, I've got to endure this. I've got to go through this. I've got to get through the other side of this, because I've got children that I love and that need me, and I cannot abandon them. But I seriously thought about it, and as I sit here talking in my phone today in this kitchen here, buggered after a day's work again, all I can say is thank God I endured that pain. Now, if you're going through pain of any sort of disease, and it can be any disease at all, it doesn't matter whether you're in a wheelchair and you're quadriplegic, or you've lost your eyesight and your hearing and you're stuck inside a body, and you've got something which is just so unbearable, then I get that you might want to check out and punch your own ticket. But also my message is that today I'm not suffering. Today I've got things that I love and enjoy, and I love life, and I'm back into it, and I've got my health back again. So when things seem completely hopeless and you just can't endure another moment, maybe it's worth just to really hang on, because you can come out the other side. You can. And this applies to anything. It could be you've got a mental battle going on, like something that you just cannot see your way through. You can never see there's going to be a solution. But there are solutions, and they come in little like surprises. Little things come along. Someone tells you something, or you read something, or someone gives you an idea to think about and ponder. And then you overcome that thought that was bothering you. It's the same with cancer. It's the same with heart disease. So my first disease was cancer, prostate cancer. And not just a normal prostate cancer, but one that has already started to spread. And having had an uncle that died at 59, the writing looked like it was on the wall for me. So I was faced. You've got different choices when you get prostate cancer, and no man wants to have prostate cancer. It's terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible, because the cure is sometimes worse than the prostate cancer. And I know men that just don't get the cure because they'd rather live with a prostate cancer. I also had a friend that at the time, him and I got at the same time, he did take his own life because he didn't want to go through what you have to go through. Now, it's not always that bad what you have to go through. It can be, for some people, a procedure can be okay. For other people, like me, you can have the worst case scenario. Blood loss, infection. Infection is what nearly killed me. Hematomas, I had a hematoma. And of course, then all the things that come after the disease, all the functions that you lose and how life is. And if you're a man with a woman, then you're also faced with, we may not be able to make love anymore. We may lose that part, and your woman just may bail on you, and lots of women do. Mine did. So that's a time in your life where you've already got this fucking big monkey on your back, and then the person that you love may not be there to support you, and you may have to go through that battle alone. And then again, you've got to endure it. You've got to then endure the emotional pain, and the sun will shine again one day. So it's really, really important, if you've got a disease process, to have a survival skill set in your mindset. People that survive diseases all share one thing in common, and that is they take responsibility for their disease. They don't just put it in the hands of the doctors. They don't just put it in the hands of the nurses. They don't just put it in the hands of the specialists. They don't just put it in the hands. They take it in their own hands. So for me, what it was I thought, well, this is an acute problem. It's not a chronic problem. I've got 2 massive tumours growing there, and I've got to sort this shit out. all sorts of options. Have seed therapy where they put radiation seeds there, radiation, which they just blitz the whole area, but that causes collateral damage to the surrounding area, to your intestine and your anus and your testicles. So you've got this, they try to keep it down to as much as the prostate, but you get collateral damage. Or a radical prostatectomy where they go in and they cut the whole thing out. Cut it right out. And they try to do a bilateral nerve sparing operation so you've still got some function, some bladder control and some erectile function. They try to do that, but it's not easy because nerves are hard to see, and for the best part, they just want to get, the most important things, they want to save your life. And they'll go into your lymph nodes if it's spread into there, and they'll cut more of you out around you, and you might lose your bladder as well. So for me, it was already starting to spread outside, and so I was meant to have radiation after that. Now, I do a lot of reading about health, and I'm not well informed about everything, but when I get a disease, I become well informed about that. So I did a lot of research on prostate cancer. And after I'd had the radical prostatectomy, and I got through the hell part, which I ended up having twice go back in the hospital and end up convalescing at the homestead in Wakefield, where Hilary and Margaret looked after me. Margaret was my nurse, and she now lives close by. She lived here for a while. They looked after me, and I got nursed back on to sort of reasonably okay health. It was emotionally a hard time as much as it was mentally a hard time. But then I had to start doing the rebuilding my life, getting back up on the horse, doing the things that I used to do, or trying to do things I used to do, and managing stuff. And that there's a really important time for you to try to look at the bucket being half full. I'm alive, I've made it, I'm still here. Okay, I've lost this, I've lost that. The girlfriend's bailed, but I'm still here. So woohoo! You've got to be that way about it. Instead of, oh, poor me, I'm bleeding out my arsehole still, and I can't get a stiffy, and I'm having to wear a pad because I'm peeing myself, or I've got a catheter in there, or whatever they've done to you. They do different things to different people. You've got to look at the bucket or the glass being half full, and I definitely did do that. The other thing I did was I didn't get the radiation, and I didn't get any chemo after that there, even though there was suspected still cancer cells around the area because it had started to spread outside. I did something which was a risk, but worked. I went to 1 meal a day and created what's called a state of autophagy, where something, apoptosis is a what goes on with apoptosis is all the dead cells get eaten up, and that means anything that's like foreign, like a cancer cell, will also get eaten up if you're in a state of autophagy. But to do that, you've got to be fasting. So I would eat 1 meal a day, and that meal would be a ketogenic meal because I wanted to pack as much protein and fat as I could to sustain myself while I wasn't actually eating anything for those other 23 hours. And the other 23 hours, all I did was drink water. Problem being is I already had the beginning onset of atherosclerosis, of heart disease. I didn't know that. I'd already switched on that thing. So I actually had another disease process going on. So after 3 years of getting through that, 18 months ago, I was just at end stage heart disease. I was really, really sick. And then I had to go on another journey. So I was supposed to get a stent. I was supposed to be on 5 different medications. And this time I went completely outside of the paradigm of what you're supposed to do. Supposed to go into statins, an aggressive statin, supposed to be on a beta blocker, a calcium blocker, channel blocker, a blood thinner, an anticoagulant to stop you having a stroke if you get a clot, get in your atrium and then go to your brain, or a heart attack. So all these things are supposed to have, and I did all my research again, a lot of research, because this is my life, and saw the cardiologist, got booked in for the operation for the stent, got all the drugs, and I went home and I did research. And that's when I found Dr. Carl B. Esselstyn, and Dr. Joel Furman, and McDougall, and Dr. T. Campbell, and a whole lot of things. And I started researching. And the only literature I could find for heart disease that had been proven scientifically with long-term studies and hard endpoints was a whole plant-based diet, or a nutritarian diet, which meant no animal fat, which meant no dairy, which meant no oils of any sort, even the good oils, because I already had a disease process going on, and any oils at all will damage the endothelial, and the endothelial creates the life jackets to creating nitric oxide creates vasodilation, which opens all those occluded pathways back up. That's the only way I was going to survive this. And the only way I was going to, first of all, arrest the disease from getting any worse was to go completely to that diet. Now, for me, that meant a real grieving process, because I'm a hunter and a fisherman, and nobody loves meat more than me. Nobody loves fish more than me. Nobody loves dairy more than me. I used to just gorge on cheese. So from one moment to the next, I made an executive decision. I want to live. I'm taking responsibility for this disease. Now, my cardiologist didn't agree with me. His words were, if you live in a monastery and suck lettuce all day, then you won't get your LDL more than sort of 5 or 6 points, 0.5 or 6 points. And I straight away proved him wrong. In the first 3 weeks, I went from 5.8 was my LDL to 2.9, and today, as I talked to you, it's 1.8. I've talked about this before. So here I was taking full charge of my health this time. I was going against the whole system, and eventually the terrible angina, the crippling angina that I had in my chest, where it's all tight, and I had to spray lingual nitrate all the time, it became less and less, and then it went completely. And by the time I needed to have the stent, it was gone. So I said, no, I don't need that. And on no medication today, 17, 18 months later, now I'm doing a full week's work, no pain, no heart pain, and the atrial fibrillation that I was always often going into as well, is also gone. Not to say those things won't come back, and not to say I won't die of a heart attack, but I am really increasing my odds. So for old Clay here, I've got 2 disease processes I live with. I've got cancer in remission, which I have to do bloods and get checked all the time, and I've got heart disease. Heart disease doesn't go away. You just get on top of it and you manage it. What happens is those non-calcified plaques that are so dangerous it can break off and cause a stroke, they just recede right back and they become stable. And they recede right back with the vasodilation. The blood goes through again and things start getting good. Things start getting really good. Things that didn't work before start working. Things that need blood in your body. And you guys know what I'm talking about. So where I started was talking about this conversation to you guys. If you've ever thought about taking your own life, yeah, I've thought about it. I've been in that hellhole. I've been where I wanted to stop the pain. But today I've got a new girlfriend. I've got functions back that I'd lost. And I've got my health back. And there is a way forward. It's not always doom and gloom, but you've got to fight. I'm really big into survival, whatever it is. I love doing survival videos for my other channel, Clay Tall Stories. I love testing myself, and I've tested myself through my life. I've pushed everything too much. I've lived way too much of a hedonistic life. I've drunk too much. I've eaten too much. I've been greedy. I've been excessive. I've been extreme. It's the nature of me. I've pushed myself way too hard. I've got damaged body, joints and everything, but I've lived a really full life, and I'm still here. And it's this little bit of jelly between my ears that's done it. You've got to have that fortitude and tenacity. You've got to keep on trying and keep on trying. You cannot give up. But you've also got to do your own due diligence. And sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I find out I've got to change stuff. Science is always ready to change. It's not hard and fixed to one way. It's always like, okay, we didn't quite get that right. Let's try this a little bit. And for me, it was a massive risk and a massive experiment to do this diet, because I didn't have any doctors that backed me. I didn't have any cardiologists that backed me. I only had literature that I'd read. And then I started to bring in people. And Peter Bird from Occupational Health Services, that does the drug testing here for Precious People, that's the company, and Blenheim and also in Nelson, became my number one point of support. You've got to have support. And then there was the nurse, Margaret, and her sister Hilary that supported me. And then I started to build up a support network. So you've got to have a support network if you're going to go on your own path. A lot of it's mindset as well. You've got to have something to believe in. If you believe you're going to die, you're probably going to die. It's called the no placebo effect. You've got the placebo effect and the no placebo effect. So when you really start thinking, I found the answer, and you start to go in that direction, there's a fair bit of the body going, okay, not going to die yet, we're going to get well. But you've also got to back it, and that means walking the walk. I struggle every day with the diet that I'm on. I struggle with it, if I'm honest. I wake up in the night craving that I'm eating a pork chop, or I've never got rid of the cravings. I've always had that addiction to meat and fish. And some of you might be saying, why can't you have fish? Well, fish also contains oil, and it's that destroys the endothelial. I mean, fish is really good for you if you don't have a disease process. If you don't have a disease process, you don't need to be on this diet I'm on. This diet will stop you getting the disease, but if you don't have a disease, you can manage your diet and get away with it a little bit. But I guess if I could go back and have life again, if I could start at the beginning, I wouldn't have been as excessive with meat and dairy and booze and all those things that I've been excessive with. And this disease process two disease processes I have come about mostly through what's gone inside my mouth, what I've inhaled, what I've ingested. But there's also other things too that cause disease. Trauma causes disease, and also the thoughts we have cause disease. There's three causations: trauma, the thoughts that we have, and what we ingest. What the thoughts that we have, I mean, if someone says to you, hey mate, look, you better see a doctor, I think you're looking a bit crook. You go, oh, am I? You might start to feel a bit crook. And then if you go and see the doctor and he says, oh, look, you've only got you're full of cancer, man, you've only got 6 weeks to live, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to feel really, really bad. And then imagine if he's come back to you after a couple of weeks and say, hey, look, I'm sorry, I gave that was the wrong results. You're actually fine. That was another bloke, sorry. In that time, I guarantee your whole system would really go down because of what's going on in the brain. Aboriginal people used to have a thing where they point the bone. If they point the bone at you, you'd die. And you know what? The witch doctor, he pointed the bone, people would actually die. So our thoughts really have a lot to do with their health. Anyway, brothers, I wanted to share this one with you. Living with disease and making it good and not bad. Yes, my life is definitely going to be shorter, but I'm still here now, and that's all that matters. Check on a brother, check on yourself, go steady, and I'll see you next Bro Check Club video. See you later.